you and those watching on the replay. Today is March 17, 2022, and welcome to the community briefing. Our guest today is Shannon Hops and Carlos Cordova, and they're going to share with us some great information on how you can access information from the City of Los Angeles and entities that are participating in a great new program. It's called RAMP, like an on-ramp or an off-ramp. And it replaces a previous program, which had the little funky name called LABAVN or BAVN, or depending on your pronunciation. So they're going to tell us all about that and how you can get great information pertaining to bids, opportunities to do business with the City of Los Angeles and other entities. They'll be sharing more with us. My name is Gregory Sneed. The name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services. I offer life insurance, long-term care, and now adding final expense. I also do financial coaching, and I'm a financial literacy trainer. The name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services, and I will place some information in the chat box for those of you who would like to get some additional information. Because I firmly believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the queen of our community briefing, Ms. Crystal Mitchell.
Thank you, Greg. I always feel better when I know where my money is. I have a lousy disposition when I don't. Welcome, everyone. I'm Crystal Mitchell, and you are here at the community briefing. We are so happy to have you. Hey, Constance and Addison, glad you guys could show up today. The community briefing was launched for the benefit of our business community and our entrepreneurs and our regular citizens of the community. We wanted to make sure you know where all of the resources are in our city that pertain to you being a successful business owner or an entrepreneur. So we bring you the leaders and stakeholders in our community. This is our platform, so please make sure you introduce yourself. This is co-sponsored and sponsored by Recycling Black Dollars and the Black Business Association, the BBA. And so we are here for you. And in RBD style, we want to make sure that you're introducing yourself and putting your information in the chat. And then utilizing it, please, people. And so with that, I am going to introduce our other co-hosts. We have an amazing team here at the community briefing, Ms. Robin Billups and Stephen Turner. Oh, and I forgot to say, I'm the co-director of Recycle Black Dollars, as well as I own my own business, Mitchell Business Solutions, and I provide small business owners tools and resources in order to help them be successful and to grow their businesses. And I provide training, coaching, and education and consulting with other organizations in the community. So that's who I am. So now Ms. Robin Billups and Mr. Stephen Turner and Mr. Greg Sneed is the marvelous team of the community briefing. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Robin, and she's going to introduce herself.
Greetings, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And yes, I'm 7% Irish, so I have my green on today. I got on my green today. I'm a Morgan by birth. But again, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm glad to be here. Robin Billups with the Billups Group. After spending 30-something years in the financial services industry, including creating a supplier diversity program, I do consulting with folks interested in learning what goes on behind the curtain in procurement. So I'm excited to have this presentation going on today. It's weird that early on when BAVN was being created, I was actually a part of a task force for that. So I love this iteration that the city has taken on to move this thing forward. So I'm looking forward to the presentation. I work with entrepreneurs and corporations looking to create an inclusionary supply chain while also meeting their compliance requirements. I'll include my information in the chat box, and I look forward to our presentation today. Turning it back over to Greg.
Okay, so we're going to kick this off. Today joining us is Shannon Hops. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Hoppus, close enough.
Hoppus?
Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, so 2 syllables. All right, I got it now. Sharon Hoppus. She has worked with the City of Los Angeles for over 25 years and currently serves as the Chief Procurement Officer for the City of Los Angeles. She has led the internal and external teams working on the development and the launch of the RAMP portal. She will share with us later, since I don't have that, where did she go to school and where did she grow up. We also have Carlos Cordoba, and he is the principal at Sherpa Marketing Solutions, a Los Angeles-based community communications firm, assisting Shannon and her team in the Mayor's Office of Budget Innovation in generating awareness and visibility for RAMP. And most importantly, growing the number of small business and diverse businesses registered in the portal at rampla.org. And I am a registered user of it. So I get the emails. And I think I joined late enough where I made the transition. There was something where, well, if you don't get this, then you get a email from us, then you're in. So I'm in and successfully made that transition. So without further delay, please welcome Shannon Hoppus and Carlos Cordoba.
Well, thank you. What an introduction. This is such an energetic group, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you to share what we've been working on. Again, my name is Shannon Hoppus. I'm with the Mayor's Office. A little bit about me, since there was the offer there. I was raised and grew up in San Pedro. So way down south for some of you, at the kind of edge of the earth, but still very much a part of the city of LA. I did go to school at Pepperdine later, actually, in my career. I worked full-time, went to school full-time. And then also my dad was a small business owner who owned a janitorial business, and he made that happen, and our family survived on that. And I really wish he was part of something like this to have understood and gained access the way we're trying to do for our small business community now. But so that's a little bit about me. I've been a longtime civil servant, and I'm really just so privileged to be in this space. Procurement has been a daunting thing to understand, not just externally for all of you. It's a frustrating experience for us internally. And so looking at this new platform was really to address both internal struggles as well as external for our business community. So I can jump into the presentation. I'm not seeing it yet. Is it showing somewhere? Okay. And then did you want me to hand it over to Carlos for a little intro? All right, Carlos, over to you.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you so much for having us present here. As Shannon mentioned, we are one of those small businesses that Gregory Simmons yourself registered in the LABAVN portal, responded to an RFP that was put out by the city of LA to support the launch, basically the relaunch of that LABAVN portal. So we've been collaborating with the city now since I would say like in the last 6-7 months. A lot of work had already been done behind the scenes in the creation of the new portal, and we'll share some screenshots with you all so you can check it out. And we collaborated with the team over at the city in terms of literally from the naming to the logo design, the visuals behind it. So it's been a really cool, very interesting trip. There is so much support, and Shannon will cover all of this in length, but there's so much support at the city level and among private industry to really give small businesses a bigger opportunity than we have now. And so, the first step is going to rampla.org, and as Gregory saw it, just registering in the system, because then that will enable not only us as small businesses to participate, but also to be seen by the large entities and corporations that will be posting contract opportunities. So excited to be here. Thank you for the invite, and look forward to sharing insights with you. I'll put in the chat while Shannon gives us the overview, some of the contact information for rampla.org. And so you can all visit it and register whenever you have a chance.
Thank you very much. As a reminder, please everybody mute hit, Roger. We are, you mentioned San Pedro, and when I work in that area down there, my little getaway is Point Furman Park. I had a little chair and I would sit there and it's almost like I was on vacation. And Sherpa, I'm sure you'll go into that, but I think that stands for being a guide. So from this point forward, Robin is going to handle the moderation. Please keep yourselves on mute and let me get to the PowerPoint. So stand by.
All right, there we are. So I think we can go into our next screen. You know who I am. Again, I think it's also noteworthy to say that during the Mayor Garcetti's administration, this position was actually created out of that administration. He had an operations innovation team that I was very honored to serve on, and it was to address reforming many of our procurement processes. I was able to be part of a team that recommended the role of the CPO. We had someone come from New York that served in the role for a very short time, and then I was privileged to be asked to serve in this role, and I was very eager to do so because, as I mentioned earlier, procurement has been a frustrating experience for us and all, again, internally and externally, and I was able to make the recommendation that we really needed leadership around policy, process, and technology. So my team doesn't actually do the buying per se, but we are here to address the overarching citywide policy, process, and technology. And so what we did first is we tackled the most visible part of our procurement, and that is LABAVN. That some of you are familiar with. That was born 20 years ago from a prior mayoral administration. And that is where you all would go and register as vendors and see all the procurement opportunities that the city holds. The city alone holds $4.5 billion of procurement. So that right there is a ton of procurement for you all to access, and hopefully you have been. So that was the foundation. We had LABAVN. We can go to our next slide. But we recognized that there was an opportunity to reimagine this space, an opportunity to expand the function, an opportunity to also learn from what we had created 20 years ago. So what we did is we had a lot of interest in this space internally and also externally from our business partners, recognizing that we had the opportunity to expand and offer solicitations on one platform. We are hosting it as the City of LA. We have now invited many partners to this space in hopes of it facilitating and making it easier for small businesses to access multiple opportunities in one space. We'll talk about some of the partners in just a bit, but the foundation of this was based on, the concept of this was based on Compete for London, or what they had done during the London Olympics. They had created a platform that aggregated the procurement opportunities onto one platform. And we saw that we could create something very similar in this space. And so we did. We worked with a task force internally as well as a task force externally that was comprised of business partners, chambers of commerce, small business, big business, with the idea that if we built it, they would come. For those of you that are familiar with Field of Dreams, that is definitely the reference, in hopes that we would have enough partners that wanted to be in this space to offer many different solicitation opportunities, and then bring to this space enough vendors that could fulfill those needs of our partners. So we actually launched this February, just a few weeks ago, February 18th. This is all new. We are still currently onboarding the partners that I'll talk about in just a minute. But we encourage you to register on RAMP. Or for those of you that were already in LABAVN, do go back into your RAMP profiles, because that is what we created. Actually, we can go on to the next slide. I'll first touch on the fact that without a doubt, we know that there's a ton of investment and opportunity coming our way. And back to my reference of the London Olympics, we know that we're going to experience the World Cup in 2026, the Olympics and Paralympics in 2028. So we wanted to prepare this platform well in advance, not to mention post-COVID, as a way for our business community to access multiple opportunities in one space, making it easier for them to see them, respond to them. In our first year alone, we are going to be placing on this platform over $10 billion of opportunity. That is in addition to the $4.5 billion that I mentioned that the city already procures or lists on the platform. Next slide. These are the partners that I was speaking to. So you can see there's a wide range of interest and excitement around accessing new and diverse businesses. We have other municipalities such as Long Beach and Torrance here, as well as an array of business sectors from sports and entertainment, AEG, Dodgers, to banking, City National Bank, as well as construction and engineering. A heavy hitter, an early adopter was Cedars-Sinai. They are going to put their entire $3 billion worth of procurement on this platform. We recently, I don't know that they're listed here yet. We just were they're there. We're able to secure City of Hope. The hospitals and their association are very interested in this space because they have added supplier diversity teams to their staffing. They are now focused and committed to accessing new and emerging businesses. And it was very fortuitous that we were able to build this platform, and they were now looking for these diverse businesses, as well as a mechanism for reporting, for confirming that they were doing enough outreach in these areas. So you can see that there's actually very few government entities on this platform, which I note because the rest of these agencies, they are not required to do the same outreach in their procurement as government agencies. It is not the same process. It's not as transparent, but they are willingly and excited about coming to the table and accessing all of you. Back to the name, as Carlos had talked about, we really were invested in renaming the system to capture the commitment from all of our partners. That's why it is the Regional Alliance Marketplace for Procurement. And it really is a marketplace. We can go on to the next screen. It is a marketplace. I think that really is something to note. It's a place that, I'm not seeing the next slide. The next slide there. It's really a place where the small businesses can come to register their businesses and view these public and private opportunities, and as well as continuing to do business with the city. But if you never had interest in doing business with the city or LABAVN or this platform before, now is the time you should be interested, because everybody is coming to the table with all kinds of different types of procurement opportunities. So even if you didn't want to do business with the city, this is now the place to still register for much, much more. On this platform, we're also going to be advertising our training, and so will our partners. They will be advertising their training opportunities and outreach opportunities. Many of them do these events well in advance of their procurements because they want to build their teams and know that their teams are in place and ready to take on these procurement opportunities. So this is, again, a marketplace where you all can start to connect and build relationships and understand what they've maybe bid on in the past or things that they might be interested in bidding on in the future. Back to the point of those of you that were in LABAVN, you did move over to RAMP, but we encourage you to go back into your profile, because Ramp gives you the ability to build out a sort of LinkedIn style profile. It gives you the ability to talk about your business, post a video, list your certifications, talk about who you've done business with, whatever it is that might set you apart. That's what you want to build into your profile. And you didn't have that ability back in BAVN. And this is also a way that our partners are going to really search for you, because we have much more search capabilities and filter capabilities on this platform than we ever did in BAVN. So again, update those profiles, create that account, build it out. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can register initially and then go back and fill out that profile in more detail. But again, it only benefits you the more distinctive you can be, the more specific you can be about what you've done. So again, it's about creating a more one-stop shop hub for greater access and equal access to much more opportunities, again, coming our way, and in addition to all of that our partners are going to be posting. Next slide. Very quickly, rampla.org is live. So you can go to that website. In fact, you should and must go to that website today and take a look at it. But this just gives you a visual on the look and feel. We really work closely with Carlos and his team, as well as a UI UX team, to reimagine the website and all of its functions, because we didn't want it to look like BAVN. We didn't want it to be overly burdensome or too governmenty. That's not a word. But we really wanted it to represent, again, all of our partners and be inviting to all of you. So we encourage you to start there and really give us feedback along the way. This is not a one and done platform. This is really going to grow with all of us, both internally for our departments, our city departments, and especially for our business community. So the beauty of it is that we actually developed it in-house, and we are much more nimble that way and can do changes much more quickly. So we won't have to wait for budget time or quarterly opportunities to do these updates. We can actually do them as we move through the process and evolve. So I encourage you to use it and give us your feedback. I did drop a link that kind of gives you the outline. We've been using that in our presentations of the manuals that we've put in place, how to get certified. But right now, I'm going to hand it over to Carlos to go a little more in depth in terms of the functionality. He and his team are really trying to kind of break the system to see what it's really capable of in order of making a better system. So he can actually go through some of these screenshots. I'll hand it over to you, Carlos.
Thank you, Shannon. Thanks so much. Greg, you can keep it on that screen back there. Sorry about that. If you want to go back, because it's really interesting to see. Basically, this is what the homepage will look like when you go to rampla.org. And the first thing you'll see there on the upper right is going to be a login button. And that's where you will go to either revisit your BAVN registration that you may have had already in place, or you click on that link and it'll give you the option of creating a brand new account. The navigation at the top is really what's interesting and fascinating about the way that Ramp is being set up. And as Shannon mentioned, the old BAVN profiles did not have the wealth of information that you can include in the new Ramp. So you do want to go back and flesh out your profile, and we'll take a quick look of that in the next slides. But you can see there a quick search for opportunities button, and right there you see it now. These are just a screenshot from a couple of weeks ago. Different opportunities, you can scroll through it, visualize different opportunities. Right now, they're mostly city that you see here. So out of the Harbor Department, out of General Services, out of Water and Power. And as these new partners add into the system, like a Cedars-Sinai, AEG is also going to be on here. You'll start seeing the opportunities come in, not just from the city, but also from other entities. And you can pick and choose, obviously, the ones that you are interested in potentially contracting with. So if there's something that does not, fit your wheelhouse, you can keep on scrolling until you find the ones that you like. So if you want to go to the next slide, please, Gregory. Next slide. Yep. So you will be able to create your profile. You will be able to search for businesses in here. NAICS codes, if that's something that you're not familiar with, you can look up your business. Basically, whatever business you're in, the government has already created a category for it, an NAICS code, no matter what business you're into. And so you will be able to input into the system your, I think it's like your top 4 or 5 NAICS codes, because, for some industries, you may be able to provide services in more than one of these codes. And that means that as companies put up contracting opportunities, they will be able to look you up by that code. Otherwise, they're not going to know that you may be a firm providing different kinds of goods and services. So you definitely want to go in there, flesh out all your information, including the codes that you're in. Go into the next slide, please. So for example, my colleague working on this project, his name is Jack. You can see that he has already created his profile. So he's got his company name, his email, contact information. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't have their email in there, or it's maybe somebody who left their company or they changed emails. You got to make sure you have your contact information that's as up to date as possible. Go on to the next slide, please. And this is really the key, the big differentiator that we all got to have to go in there and update. You'll see that under the name Infinity Government Procurement. Jack was able to put in a brief description, a short blurb about his company. And that's something that you definitely want to take advantage of. He's got business outreach program management. He works with chambers of commerce. He even put in a link to his YouTube channel that somebody can copy paste and go see his materials. So if you have obviously your website, if you have any kind of online presence, that's something you want to do. And also, in addition to your NAICS code, is putting in your certifications. You can see that alphabet soup or certifications that this company has, SBE, minority. He manages a whole lot of different certifications. You want to make sure that you have your City of Los Angeles certification. And if you don't have it, we will be having content posted on RAMP on how you can go about it, getting that certification. If you are women-owned, disabled veteran-owned, all of those things are important. As Shannon mentioned, a lot of these private entities are being measured. A lot of these, when they receive federal contracting dollars, they need to do outreach and contract with SBEs and MBEs and women-owned and veteran-owned. If you don't flag yourself, they don't know that we exist. So definitely make sure that when you create your account on rampla.org or you update your information, you want to make sure that you have your certifications on there, your contact information, and that short blurb talking about what it is that you do. It's one of those things that the more you put into it, and as Shannon mentioned, don't tackle it in one day because it's crazy. But the more information you have about your business, the better off you are going to be. This is the second page. Yeah, go on to the next slide. This is the second page. You can see there that Jack has 5 or 6 NAICS codes that he works under: management consulting, public relations, marketing, management consulting, number of employees, ethnicity, the business structure, and also the work history. Now, Jack has done a lot of work with City of LA, but he also, you can see here that he had his private industry experience. So he has both public, City of LA, and private business experience. So definitely include on there. You can put in a narrative. You can fill in your information as needed. I know the details that you have. I think somebody needs to mute themselves. Go on to the next slide, please. And again, previous contracts, you don't have to go into detail into dollar amount or timing. But if you have experience having worked with, in this case, for example, he's got a lot of city experience, but whether it's private business, you can certainly put in your previous contracts. Now, some questions we've had across these webinars, and we've been doing these webinars pretty much almost every day during March and through the end of the month. A lot of folks ask, well, what if I am a relatively new business and I do not have this kind of contracting information? That's really not a problem. You can focus on the services that you provide. You can focus on your background. So do not shy away from registering if you feel like you may have scant experience to include, because every little bit counts. And again, you may be, now that you have a profile and that you have your NAICS codes and your experience, not only will you be able to look for opportunities, but the really cool thing is that these big partners, these big companies, or even large contract owners that need to have subs working under them, makes you visible to all of those. So you gain by having the more up-to-date and complete profile that you can, so that you are literally within the, start creating a network. You can also search by NAICS for other companies that you can network with. All of their contact information will be there. So if you're a sub looking to work with a larger clients, you can reach out and make yourself known and create a relationship out of that. So there's a lot of opportunities to do networking. We just have to get creative and literally take advantage of everything that the RAMP platform offers. Go on to the next slide, please. So www.rampla.org is where you want to go to get started, whether to update your profile, whether to register for the first time. Once you input, you can even go there right now, put in your name, company name, your website, and your email address, and that's literally enough to get started, because then you will be in the system. And as communications go out, new information goes out, newsletters come out, you'll be able to get that information. And slowly but surely go ahead and add your information in terms of ownership, in terms of your profile, in terms of your, again, the NAICS codes are really important, because that's how they will find you as a business that's engaged in whatever goods and services you provide. It's a free platform. There's no cost for small businesses to register. In terms of hosting the actual opportunities, that's really being managed by the City of LA and the RAMP team. So that's for the entities that want to post the opportunities. So right now, we're really focused on growing the number of vendors within the system. As Shannon mentioned, a couple of things. One is just to really bring it home. A lot of money is being spent by the city, by these private entities, and we all want to make sure that we get basically a piece of that pie, because the Olympics, construction, improvements to the city, outreach, all kinds of things that were not always within the City of LA. Now in one location, in this hub and rampla.org, there's going to be a lot of opportunities that are showing up, and you don't have to go out and try to find somebody at Cedars, or find somebody at the Dodgers, or somebody at the Rams, or any other organization. Everything will be contained within this hub. So there's really no downside to taking a moment, registering, start looking around, see what opportunities there are, and stay connected, stay engaged, and maximize opportunities. So thank you very much. And any questions in the chat, we'll be happy to go through them, or live.
We're very pleased that you guys came on today and and introduced us to the RAMP process. I do want to say, having entered this space in 2006, I have some serious experience on what goes on behind the curtain. Congratulations, Shannon, for being named as a Chief Procurement Officer. But my experience is when you're the CPO, then all the buyers, the category managers, those folks roll up to you. And so what you're saying is you're on the operations side for the RAMP program versus contract, correct?
Right. So we develop the technology. So we look at the overarching policy process technology that drives the rest of the city. So you do still have centralization happening for commodities in general services. You still have public works leading the construction side, but all 40 some departments actually enter the service side, which is where a lot of our small businesses are. So we really capture all of that, and then are really working to standardize things across the city, so you don't have different experiences depending on which department you work with. And we're also capturing metrics that we haven't typically captured. We're asking for information that we haven't asked for before. And that's, again, back to the profiles, in that you need to build those out, because even if you're not certified, but you identify as a Black-owned, minority-owned, women-owned business, you still say that you are. And then we will now finally come back behind that and say, hey, did you know that the city of LA can do this certification for free? Or we can at least direct you to resources where you can get certified. So a lot of people aren't aware that we offer our certifications are for free, the city of LA. So we are a resource for that. But again, just trying to close those loops and gaps that currently exist. And while we are capturing that data, it still in the meantime gives our partners the ability to sort and filter the businesses however they see fit, however their programs are designed. Maybe the city of LA can't use the data in one way, but it doesn't prohibit our partners from doing that. So now we've given them full access to search all of you how they see fit, but we've also given you in your profiles the ability to determine what kind of information you want. So if you get click happy, you might be overwhelmed with information and get way too much information. But that's why it's up to you to be diligent about updating your profile constantly as to your work, as to your desire to receive certain things, or else you are going to get bombarded by a lot of information, but perhaps it's information you want. So it's all up to you.
You know, and that's really good. Again, you guys listen up to what she's saying. But I guess for me, what I'm concerned about, what my real concern is this. When you talk about $4.5 billion in procurement opportunities with the city, most of these people sitting out in our audience have registered somewhere. So they understand how to build out a profile. They understand the certification requirements. They understand that some certifications cost money, some are free. But at the end of the day, getting an opportunity to bid. You know, when you look at so for me, I think that this is a great presentation today. We're going to need you guys to come back with the buyers and the category managers. We need the folks who are going to talk about those real opportunities and how to access those real opportunities, because the vetting process can be a long ramp. You know, the insurance requirements can be, the certification. There's so many silos that can happen that keep people from being able to participate, and particularly the RFP process. When I looked at that list of opportunities that was presented, you know, one was presented on March the 7th, and you need to respond by March the 7th. So, you know, what is the criteria? You know, so those, for us, this is excellent information. We will ensure that our audience understands that they need to be in RAMP. I've done LABAVN. I've done every iteration that the city has had or didn't have. I've done every iteration with all of the different corporations. And so we know that process, but what's critically important is opportunity, and a real opportunity to bid, not after the fact, not check the box move. I be very candid with you. I truly believe a lot of people in the supply diversity space have become barriers to non-success because most people don't have enough staff or they're not sitting in procurement. And so these are some of the things for us, for our audience, that we want to be able to answer. And we would love for you guys to come back. And matter of fact, give us an update on what's happening with RAMP. It's this thing of how many suppliers can you put in a portal versus how many opportunities do those suppliers have to bid, that type of thing. And being that you're talking about $4.5 billion in spend with the city alone, if a company is a 25-year tax-paying citizen, grew up in LA, and he has a $1 million business, does he really have an opportunity, to be at the table to bid? Does a Greg Sneed have an opportunity to bring services to the city that they can use? Again, in our audience, we have our excellent technical assistance providers through Pacific Coast Regional, through the Lindustry Foundation Center with Constance Anderson. So the pieces and parts are there. The issue is opportunity. The issue is the contracting process and the opportunity. And so I'm going to throw it to Crystal. Maybe she has some questions, and we'll look and see what we have in our chat box. But I think that we need another visit with you guys, because this is wonderful. It is wonderful that you're streamlining, that you're creating this regional portal, that you're bringing in all of these different entities, and everybody and their mother has jumped on the bandwagon of, we need supplier diversity. No, you don't. You need supply chain inclusion. You need supply chain inclusion. People need to be able to do business with the people that they pay their taxes to, the people that they bank with, that type of thing.
So Shannon, Robin is absolutely correct. So all of us we've been working really diligently since the pandemic to make sure our businesses are contract ready. So we do want to make sure that they're included in this. So is there anything in place that's going to ensure that? We have PCR here, we have Lindustry here. All of us are working to make our businesses ready, because that has been in the past some of the issues. Our businesses have not been ready. So we've been going out of our way to make sure that has happened. And the pandemic lent a lot of assistance with that. So how are we going to ensure that, say, those people that are here on this platform will have accessibility beyond just listing their businesses?
Right. Well, there's a few things. Couldn't agree with you more. Again, RAMP will also be housing all of the different programs that we have. We have Meriwether and William that we work closely with in terms of bonding. They put on a lot of seminars about how to access that. We have LISC that does several events that we often advertise. So this is going to really centralize the training opportunities as well. We work closely with One LA and the LA Chamber of Commerce, who also does capacity building in terms of business and business readiness, helps you learn how to develop RFPs. Our Board of Public Works also puts on several events a year called Accessing LA. So this is also where that web is going to start to form, where we can start connecting you to the various resources depending on where you're at in your business. Another thing that the city is really working hard to do is unbundling those larger contracts so we can have our smaller businesses start cutting their teeth, so to speak, on those opportunities. We worked with several of our small businesses to say, you know what, $100,000 contract isn't enough, or even $1 million. So we're really working to come in at all these different thresholds to bring our small businesses to the table so they can grow and scale. We're working internally on the city side to do more forecasting, so you all can see at the budgeting time and process what departments receive in their budgets in order to anticipate those upcoming procurement opportunities. We're also working closely with USC to build out an emerging business database, which is 20 employees under $1 million. They are going to be doing a lot of hand-holding with the small emerging business community, readying them for procurement opportunities, and then transferring them over to RAMP, or encouraging that registration in RAMP when they are ready to start cutting their teeth on those. Many of our procurement opportunities that are under 25,000, they never see the light of day because departments do not have to go out to formal bid. But we are finally going to start putting those opportunities, those smaller opportunities, the ones that don't have the same arduous requirements of insurance and indemnification, online just so our small business community can see those opportunities. And again, our business partners are looking for the smaller ones, and they are going to have opportunities that we for sure won't as a city. They're going to have opportunities. The games are going to bring about opportunities that we've never seen before. We're going to be looking for caterers and florists and lighting, things that we don't typically look for. So those are the things that we're working on, but the work is not done. It's never done. And we can never say that it's done. It's just that we're going to continue to work on it. And I think that's where my team comes into place, is it really does look at that. And we finally have a mechanism that's going to give us good metrics, or metrics in areas that we've never even had. So we can inform the council and mayor on good policy. Take down that old policy that's been in place for eons, that's been often hindering our small business community, and looking to policies that can help them. And I really do feel confident that this group, this alliance that we're forming, is going to drive new things, not only just share best practices, but also probably be a driver of future legislation. Because now we don't come to the table with one voice, we come to the table with many, and many experts that are informing the process, and we will look to all of you to help inform that as well. So hopefully, we're headed in the right direction, but always on the road to improvement.
Well, you're certainly headed in the right direction. Again, I guess for me, I don't like to use the language. Well, I guess when you're dealing with municipalities, you have to use the word small business. I just like to say entrepreneur, right? Because everybody started somewhere. When your dad first started his business, he probably had one office that he was cleaning, and that grew to 25 offices. So I think that from a language standpoint, let's talk about entrepreneurs versus small business, because small business denotes, well, they really can't do business over here. Well, what if they could find a partner that could give them the capacity and the scale, that type of thing. And to your point, regarding all of the opportunities that are coming with all of the things that the city of Los Angeles is going to be hosting, everybody needs catering and flowers. Your departments, there are people that are celebrating events, retirements, and what have you. So again, when we talk about opportunity, we're just talking about across the board. And I appreciate what you're saying, that all of the opportunities are going to be in this portal. And then, which means then we have to watch the timing, right? And so my question is, when you talk about putting these opportunities in the portal, will it be like an 18-month look, or a 24-month look out, or a 3-year look out? Because a lot of these contracts historically, my philosophy has always been, people in procurement are head down folks. They do business with the same people over and over and over again. They have, to your point, they have these archaic language in their contracts, and which they say that they cannot do anything about, until it's the guy that they've been doing business with for 25 years that they golf with needs something, and then they make the adjustment. So I'm interested in understanding what is the outlook for these opportunities? Is it going to be over the next, because contracts are 5 years with 2 5-year renewals, automatic renewals, and then people don't even hear about it, that type of thing. So I'm really interested in understanding what the timing is for these opportunities. And I know you can only speak for the city.
Right. I can do a little bit of both. I only to make the comparison, really, though, in that some of our partners do it much better than the city of LA. They're going to be able to forecast and talk about upcoming opportunities in the next year. It's really a culture shift and training thing in terms of the city, having us do it different. A lot of us don't have strategic plans. I think that's also the frustration that we've heard from the council, is that we budget on an annual basis instead of with a 5-year projection. So some departments are a bit more savvy. We do have Bureau of Engineering who actually does do forecasting, but you have to know that it exists. So it's about, again, centralizing that information and then communicating it better. DWP also does that well. The rest of the departments, not so much. They don't know what budget they're going to get. So they get the budget and then they kind of decide to go through the process. Many of their procurement teams, in terms of services side, they aren't just dedicated to procurement. They wear a lot of hats. So not all departments even have procurement teams that are as savvy as maybe GSD or DWP. So that's where my team comes in and really starts to share the need for us to do better in these spaces. So I can't tell you how early we're going to start to be able to list our procurements. We're really just trying to get everybody's head wrapped around it being that we're going to communicate at the time of budget that we're going to now start to forward or send this information out to the business community. It's a whole new concept for the city of LA, you know, in terms of our CAO and just how our business operates. Usually we don't communicate anything until we know we have a solid contract in place. So the more information we can push out to the business community, definitely the better. But hopefully we also learn from our partners, you know, how we do better in this space. So again, much improvement to do, because you all need to be communicated with to know, what do I anticipate? How am I growing and scaling? But that's also why we really encourage you to follow the primes, the different primes that you might choose to work with in the future. So you can start to build those relationships with them now in anticipation that they'll be going after maybe these larger procurements that you can partner with them on. So, you know, it's tackling it from all different perspectives and kind of knowing the insider baseball on, you know, okay, you know, the pre-bid meeting is an opportunity, even if I'm not going to bid on this opportunity, to maybe connect with some of the primes and use that as an opportunity to introduce your business. So it's just knowing much of what many of you know and then sharing it across our businesses.
And there's a couple of questions. Armin Walker has a question. Has the city or any of the partners talked about putting up capital, helping with finance for especially the smaller entrepreneurs that are coming into the space, trying to get their feet wet? Has that been discussed or at any point?
I don't necessarily know that they've talked about putting up capital, but it could be a space that, you know, we start having those conversations. I do know that the banking industry has kind of shared some of their frustration in just the applications from the business. And I will say small business or entrepreneurs, but small businesses coming, submitting their applications and then them getting denied because the banking side can't tell them how to fill out their applications. And they've expressed that what's a little frustrating about that is it didn't mean they weren't going to get the money. It just meant that the application needed some help, you know, getting in review. So it's communicating that just because you get denied the first time doesn't mean to give up. And he said, he shared with us that sadly, that is the time that businesses, you know, kind of go the other direction and get frustrated, and they shouldn't be frustrated. So it's also sharing that information also, and having them come in and speak to you. But again, they're not in a position to help you with the application per se, but it could have been one thing missing on it, and that's all you needed, and you just needed to resubmit it and you would have gotten the loan. So it's being aware of those kind of things as well.
So are you partnering like with PCR and I know you said LIST and Industry and some of the other organizations, because I think they can address that part of it. I'm sure Colette, she's here, you know, that's something that they both do, and that's something that Constance does with her organization.
Yeah, and then Angela of my team, Tumbakan, her chat lists some of the resources as well. Our business source centers, the loan options, and you know, they'll share that information with you as well. So again, it's really just trying to centralize much of the information so you do know, okay, I've hit this roadblock, or I need this next answer. Where do I go? And again, creating the web of resources.
Okay, thank you. Beverly, you had a question? I don't. Is she still here? Beverly K.
Oh, I'm here, but I did not have a question, just listening at this time. Thank you.
Okay,
good to have you, Beverly. Greg had a question. You know, where does the city of LA fall in comparison to other cities providing this access line, you know, this portal, this access line? New York, Chicago.
In this type of portal, we're the only ones that we know of that have done the portal on this level, a public-private partnership, and that the city is leading. But all the ones that we've talked to, unless my team, I mean, we haven't heard of this being done. We heard about it, the concept being done in London, but it was specific to the games. The portal or platform is still in place. We have talked to them about that, and it does continue to aggregate opportunities under this space. But you know, the more that we've talked to at different levels, state, even federal, they haven't identified another agency that has aggregated the procurement in this way. This is a big lift. We are actually funding it, even for those that are partnering with us. We have purchased licenses that we are right now offering for free. The business community to register, it's always free for them to register for opportunities, but for our partners, we, the city, have to buy licenses in order to post our own opportunities, but we've bought those licenses on behalf of the partners to understand and verify that there's value add in this space. We want to use this next year to really understand from you all whether there was value in bringing these partners to this space, and understand from the partners if they were able to connect with different businesses that they had not done so in the past. So this is a year of discovery, and the city is creating the space, fronting the bill, providing the resources to really see if this helps. But we haven't heard from any other agency. We just recently heard from Orange County that they were trying to do something down that way, but other than that, we haven't. When we were doing benchmarking, and in fact, the city of LA had really done, it was considered cutting edge 20 years ago when we thought to list our opportunities in BAVN. So we've seen a lot of vendors take this on, private vendors who have created businesses out of this and aggregate, you know, the opportunities and scrape data from different websites. We have seen that, but we haven't seen a large municipality lead this space, not in a public-private partnership.
This is fantastic. So that's awesome. So we would love to be a part to help. So if you can, if you guys could send notifications over, I send out a blast, myself and Stephen, every week in order to announce who's going to be our next guest. And so I'd like to include upcoming information to our network. We have close to over 1,000, and it's been growing steadily since I launched this 2 years ago. And a lot of there are entrepreneurs, and some of them are already doing business contracts throughout the city. But we would like to be able to see if we can close that gap. Of course, that closes the gap of our wealth issue that we have if we can make sure that all our businesses can participate on a fair ground. And not just do transactional business, but do contractual business. So however, the community briefing can help, and Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, and I'm speaking for Colette, for PCR. We're all here to help our small businesses. We want them to be successful. And we're working hard to do that on our side. So let us know how we can help.
Thank you so much. It is these type of partnerships that are really going to help us all understand how to be better in this space. So we look forward to the opportunity to come before you again and share our updates, and again use this as a space for, you know, for some roundtables and feedback on what you'd like to see, and so we can have those larger discussions. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. That's why this platform was created, for that very reason, so that we can close in that gap. One of the things I think all of us will agree is that the information doesn't always sift through the entire community. It gets clogged up. And so the community briefing is here so that we can get as many people. And I'm going to ask the people that are coming every week, make sure you guys are sharing this out with you. I know all of us have business colleagues and peers and friends that could benefit from this. So when I post when it's on our Facebook page, or I send it out to your friends, because that's how we grow. That's the only way we can make a change, if we're the conduit of that change. So, programs don't work if people don't participate. And that's just really the bottom line of it. And we have to help each other do that. So Shannon and Carlos, awesome. You guys are welcome to come back at any point to share. And I love that when we can have some fireside chats about this. If there's been some, if some of our people are sharing frustrations, maybe we can sit down and have that round table so that we can make sure that the program is successful. And at the same time that the recipients are successful in this process as well. Was Dr. Mays here?
Yes, she is.
Okay, so we're gonna let Dr. Mays provide us with an update on
She
the
logged in. I don't see
Oh,
her.
she was. I think she
No,
left.
she came and left.
Okay.
I sent you something in the chat. She got
Timing,
called into a
right.
noon meeting, I think.
Well, you know, I
And here
want to
comes
say
Jack.
this. I from a person who's been in that behind the, as I call it with my tagline, that I've been behind the curtain with a lot of different organizations. And when I came into procurement in 2006 and where we are today, it's almost like, you know, it's a fit in the start and a fit in the start and a fit in the start, right? And so if you hear frustration in my voice, it's because of that fit and start and fit and start. And everyone always wants to talk about the portal and the system and the process. But at the end of the day, if 80% of these entrepreneurs do everything right, when do they get a chance to meet with somebody about an opportunity, right? About the vetting process, about the insurance, about the bonding and that kind of stuff. And yeah, we are well aware, Meriwether and Williams has been on, they're excellent community partners. And most of 99% of the folks on our call are familiar with them. These are folks that have been in the community, they've been working with the community. You know, our technical assistance providers, you know, PCR is 44 years old, you know, so again, the services are there, but I think it's really, really important. And Armin Walker, and I love him, he's an ex-banker too. You know, it's the opportunity, but it's also access to capital to make that opportunity happen. And especially with our younger businesses, they're going to need grant money. They're not just going to need to be able to borrow money. They're going to need grant money as well. And so again, I really, really appreciate the insight and the information. Jack Ochoa is the exception when it comes to technical assistance, certainly around certification, certainly around doing business with the municipalities. And Carlos, my hat's off to you to be the one selected from the individuals who probably put in a bid to be able to take the role that you have. And so again, you know, as you mentioned, Shannon, as you've mentioned, Carlos, you guys came from an entrepreneurial space. So keep that hat on. Don't put on the city hat. Don't put on the Miss Corporate America hat. Keep your entrepreneurial business hat on. And again, we are here, Community Briefing is here to ensure that folks are informed about all of the services and the resources that are available. So we welcome you guys to come back, you know, to give us an update, you know, to introduce us to some more folks on your team, you know, in the roles that they play, so that we can, a year from now, truly celebrate some contracts.
And thank you guys so much. Next week, we have Roz Pendleton. She is the owner of
Pennington.
Yeah.
Right. She's the owner of the new townhouse. She's going to come in, a business owner. We've been celebrating women all month, and we're going to continue to do that to the end of the month. Guys, we're going to give you your opportunity as well. April. So, but we want to thank you all so much. Shannon, you've been awesome. Carlos, thank you so much. And please come back. We want this to be successful, but we want to make sure it's a mutual success for everyone that's involved. And so thank you, Stephen. You want to say hello and introduce yourself real quick? Or I know you may be in your other project. Colette, thank you guys. Come back next week, guys. Bring a friend, tell a friend, share the video with everyone else.
Yeah, next week is Roz Pennington. And the following week, we're going to end off the Women's History Month with Jackie Broxton, who heads up the Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation. And she'll be joining us and telling us how her foundation helps foster youth children, especially women, not especially women, definitely women, to come out of the foster youth program and transition into, you know, getting work, getting job, and taking care of business. So that's going to be on the 31st of March.
Thank you, Greg. Again, Colette from PCR and Constance from Lindustry, or the Center of Lindustry. These are your money sources, people, and also your training and informational centers as well. So make sure you support them. And then we're going to support all the Black businesses and all of the businesses on the community. On the community briefing. So make sure your information's in the chat. I upload that to the YouTube channel. So it's actually there in live in the Ethernet. So thank you guys. Yes.
And he joined us late, but I wanted to introduce Jack Ochoa. Carlos was talking about him, and so Jack's there, and he's got his green St. Patrick's Day tie on. So
I know I got 20% Irish blood, and Robin. So Jack, you got some Irish blood there too, dude?
No, no.
So real fast, and Robin knows, I've been waiting for RAMP for 20 years.
Okay.
If we don't do something about it, it has nobody else to blame but ourselves. We have clients that need to be on this yesterday, not tomorrow, not next week, yesterday. They need to get on this quick. So we're working with the city to develop some videos, educational videos that I would hope that everybody will be able to push out. The county library just confirmed that they'll take our videos and put them on their website.
Well, if you send them over to me, I'll make sure they're on my website, and we'll have you on. And I have another platform as well called the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert that broadcasts live every Friday afternoon. So you can come there. Shannon, you guys can come there as well. Yeah, let's get it out. That's what videos are for, right? The media is the way people hear it, not read it.
Exactly.
So thank you guys. We've gone over. I appreciate your allowing us to go over. And please come back. Share. If you have just Shannon, you don't have to be a guest. If you just want to come in and do an announcement, just come up. We'll make sure that you have that platform.
I'll be here.
All right. Thanks again, Shannon.
See everyone. Have a great weekend. Everyone, all our family, the CBB family. Love you all. See you next week.